Hey guys, so the Ignite servers are finally out. And with that, I know a ton of you guys are going to be playing it and trying to get through the Ignite servers yourselves. So I want to make a guide for newer players on how to get through the Ignite servers and progress your characters to the end at 1620. I'm also going to be giving some tips on how to optimize this and how to min-max everything. So if there's any returning or veteran players watching this video, this will have some value to you as well. But what I'd say is for the newer players, I definitely wouldn't recommend you guys kind of try to min-max too hard because potentially it could just end up burning you out and having you not really enjoy the game. But also, I believe that the Ignite servers are definitely a lot more suitable for a newer player. And if you leave the Ignite servers and go to the regular servers, you're definitely going to be met with a lot more scrutiny that, already still exists in the Ignite server when it comes to looking for a party, and you're going to be having a much worse time. So definitely for newer players, I'd recommend you stay in the Ignite servers until you really feel like you have nothing else to gain from the server and you are ready to go on to the regular server and hopefully have found a new group of friends or a couple of friends to just go and play together. And with that, it's definitely better to find a group of people who are around your same experience level or people who are willing to kind of walk you through the game and show you the ropes. That way you can have as good of an experience as possible. And also, feel free to hop onto my stream. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have, and I'm going to be doing quite a few sessions on the Ignite servers and teaching people how to do different things. So come on by. I'm going to be having some special codes to give away too, and also if you're watching this video the day it's released on Wednesday the 9th, I'm going to be giving away some Steam gift cards as well. So come on down. But that's about it for me rambling on. Here is the rest of the video showing you guys how to progress through the Ignite servers all the way up to 1620. So when you first arrive into town, you're going to be greeted with this login event. Go ahead and just take the login event and you could use the item that they give you, the regular slight currency chest. After that, you're going to see a couple things, but first you should go to this Rising Express button and select your style. This is going to be your engraving or your playstyle. Select the one that you feel fits your playstyle or the one that you wanted to play, and then press Save All Presets. The nice thing about this one this time around is that it actually gives you your card set as well. So if you're a support, it'll give you some cards for You Have a Plan, and if for DPS, it'll give you some cards for Deep Dive. So just go ahead, select the one that you want, and select Save All Presets at the bottom, and you should be good to go. After that, you're also going to be given a box to start off. So it says right here, Claim Rewards and Upgrade. Go ahead and press this button, and you'll get some upgrade material so you can go and hone your character up. Now, from here on out, you can start doing this little guide quest here on the right-hand side and proceed to it until it tells you to go to the Chaos Dungeon. This one right here where it says press Alt-Q and do the Chaos Dungeon. A lot of you guys might be tempted to do this Chaos Dungeon, but in order to progress your character smoothly, I would actually skip that for now and then actually go and start honing your character. So with this, when you start your character out, select your style, you got a box right over here. It looks like this, and it lets you select your gear set. Go ahead and select any gear set you want. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. If you really wanted to min-max, then you could choose a gear set that's perfect for your class. Like for example, my Gun Lancer is on Entropy, but if you don't know that yet, just select a random gear set because you're going to be able to change this later on. After you open the box, just equip the weapon and the armors. You don't need to equip the accessories because when you selected your style settings, your accessories already were set for you. As you can see, I have a full set of armor and weapon, and I also have the accessories here as well, along with a bracelet and a stone. So all you need to do is equip the armors that you got. Now you're going to go to the Gear Honing Merchant, which is up around the north area of town. It's this guy right here, Gear Honing Eicher, whatever his name is. So you're going to go and click on them, press G on them, and start honing up your equipment. Now, this is going to be different for everybody because not everybody's going to be able to hone their equipment up to max, starting at the beginning. Some people are going to get it higher, some people are going to get it lower. It really just depends on your luck and RNG. So depending on where you hone to is kind of what you're going to be doing next. But overall, just go ahead and slam all your materials into the gear. And I know some of you guys are probably looking at these books over here and like, oh, should I use these? I know it increases my chances to hone, but maybe I need them later on. No, you don't. Just go ahead, use all the books and slam it onto the piece of gear. You can click on it and press this little checkbox right here, apply to the next honing. That way you don't have to keep clicking on the book. It'll keep using it until the gear succeeds. So just continue to hone until you can't hone anymore because you're out of materials. Now, one thing to note is that you might run out of materials and be like, okay, I'm done, right? Well, depending on how far you honed, you might have another upgrade for your Rising Express. So if you are at this different threshold, I believe the next threshold is 1560. After 1540, you can go and claim the reward there. Then the next thresholds are 1570, 1580, 1590, 1595, 1600, right? So basically, as you're going through honing, if you run out of materials, check your Rising Express and make sure you're selecting the box and opening it up. It'll give you more materials to let you continue to hone your character. And again, do this until you have no more materials left. So at this point, you're either out of materials or you've reached 1580 and you can't hone anymore because you don't have any gold. If you made it to 1580, congratulations. Consider yourself one of the lucky ones. If you didn't make it to 1580, well, you have a couple choices here. Again, there's some choices you can make that are more min-maxy than others, but it's up to you what you want to do. You might think that at this point, okay, well, it's time to start following this quest again and start doing the Chaos Dungeon. And to that, it's actually still not time to do Chaos Dungeons. I'd say ideally you want to start doing your Chaos Dungeons at the earliest when you've hit 1580. That way you can start getting the 1580 materials and be able to progress your character a lot more smoothly that way. What you can do now is two things. Well, one thing, start doing raids. But there's kind of two ways you can do it. So the first way is not very min-maxy. You can just go take a look at your item level, see what raids you can do, and just start doing them. And then after that, start getting some materials and help yourself hone as high as possible. And I'd recommend for that, just doing the highest level of raid if you can. If you're a brand new player though, maybe it might help to start doing some lower level raids. And for those, you might want to look for like a guide online. I wouldn't really recommend doing it in a group unless it's a group of new players who are trying to learn how to play the game. If you're a new player, I'd recommend doing the solo versions of the raid. But if you're trying to min-max, then what I would say is instead of doing the raids on your main character, I would go ahead and make an alt character and start holding that up again and then getting as far as I can. Then on that character, start doing raids. Because in the Ignite server, you actually have a limit of how many raids you can do per week. Normally there's a limit for how much gold you can accept per week, which is still the same here, it's 3. But in the Ignite servers, you actually have a limit for how many raids you can do per week, even if you're not accepting any gold on that character. So what you're going to want to do is create an alt, because you start off with being able to do 4 raids per week, and then I think as you hit the different thresholds for the raids themselves, like 1580 for Akan, 1600 for Ivory Tower, you're going to be able to get more raids to be able to do that week. So for example, my Gun Lancer's at 1580 right now. Instead of 4 raids per week you can do, it actually has an additional one. I can do a 5th one because I went into Akan and that unlocked a new raid. So I'd say that if you're really trying to min-max, go and start doing some solo raids on an alt character, because what you can do with that is, even though the materials themselves are bound, when you do a solo raid on your alt character, it'll actually give you solo raid coins. And as you can see in this solo raid coin shop, there are a lot of things that you can buy. For me, as you can see here, I've already bought some of these obliteration stone pouches with my solo raid coins because I needed them to get to 1580. But for you, go ahead and buy anything that you need to go and hone your character to as close to 1580 as possible, because that really is the goal right now. Get to 1580 before you do anything else. And on top of solo raid coins, they'll also give you Ignite coins for doing the raids and other contents as well, such as Chaos Dungeons and Guardian raids and such. And with those, I would say save them until you get 1580 before you use them. because these honing materials that you get from here, ideally you're going to want to use it on the highest level of material. But again, another bonus to doing these solo raids and raids in general on an alt or your main. That way you can start getting these coins for both the solo raid shop and this Ignite event shop, and then be able to use the materials to upgrade your character to hone them higher. Now, one thing that I want to mention is that earlier I mentioned you could get any gear set that you want. Doesn't really matter what it is, because you can change it later. One thing you want to do is if you did get a gear set that's not the right one, go ahead and do this quest right here. It's in the guide section. It's called What is Gear Set Conversion? You just got to accept it and talk to some dude, and you'll be able to start changing your gear set as needed. And something I'd also recommend you guys doing is doing your Artesia tour before you start raiding, because this will give you access to a lot of different runes that you might not have access to right now. That'll make your builds feel a lot smoother, as well as giving you some more skill potions to make you just overall stronger. Okay, so now you've hit 1580. Now what you want to do is go ahead and click the Rising Express again, and then receive the reward for 1580, because in this reward chest is going to be a new set of gear. This gear is going to once again come in a box, so you're going to open that box, select the right one for your character. Again, mine was for Entropy. I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to go ahead and start equipping this new gear. But one thing you'll note is that when you get new gear, all of them are going to be at different qualities than what your previous gear was at. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and look at the gear, and if there is something that is higher quality in the old gear compared to your new one, you can go ahead and transfer it onto your new piece of gear. I would personally just recommend transferring all of them, just because you can start just dismantling them if you finish the transfer. It won't get, even if the new gear is higher quality than your old one, it'll keep the higher quality. And when you go ahead and transfer everything, it'll drop all your gear down to 0. And then you can go and just dismantle them, because if not, it just kind of eats up inventory space and you kind of throw it away, and it's kind of annoying. So I'd recommend just transferring them. And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, well, if it's lower quality or whatever, you can go and do some quality taps on it. Well, sadly, the science and the math don't really work that way. Some people do have a superstition that from a lower quality, it's easier to get a higher quality with quality taps, but there's been many tests and have proven that that's not the case. And if you want a quality tap, just using the regular quality tap stones will just give you the same result on whether it's a higher or lower one. And then after that, you'll actually have gotten a little bit of gold from that box that you just opened. So you can go again and proceed to start to try and hone your gear up as high as possible until you run out of resources. At this point, you're probably going to run out of gold before you run out of materials, so that's likely going to be the limiting factor going forward. So at this point, you've probably honed all the way up, and you've maybe gotten a couple taps here or there, but you're out of gold. So really, your only choice at this point is to start running some raids. And this is why I told you to save your raids earlier and only do it on an alt if you wanted to min-max. Now, if you did it on your main, that's not the worst thing in the world. You'll probably still have a couple raid slots remaining. But ideally, you do want to save your available raids for the latest raids. Ideally, going to be Thamine, Ivory Tower, and Akan. So at this point, at 1580, you're ready to go and challenge Akan. You can do this in a group setting or as a solo raid. Again, as a group setting, I'd recommend, if you're a new player, doing it with other new players or people who are willing to teach you how to do it. Or if you don't have that, go and do it as a solo raid. Solo raid is going to be giving you a little bit less gold, unfortunately. But, unfortunately, there's probably going to be a lot of people who are really just making groups for like reclearers, and if you're able to find a group that is new players, then you should definitely go and try to do that. But if you can't, I'd recommend doing it as a solo raid. Then you're going to start getting more gold again, and you're going to be able to continue honing your character up at that point. And at that point, you might need to run Belshazzar as a raid to earn gold. So just do raids, get as much gold as you can, and try to hone up to 1600. At this point, you might end up running out of gold earning raids and maybe reach the 1600. If you did, well, I guess that's a kind of about it that you're going to be doing this week on this character. You can go ahead and make some alts and then try to level those up and play around with those and figure out what you want to do. Or, again, you can just take a break. But if you did make it to 1600 without expending all your gold earning raids, then you're going to rinse and repeat. You're going to do Ivory Tower after you're done running out of gold. You're running out of gold, running out of materials, do Ivory Tower. Then, again, try to hone up as far as you can. Then open your boxes again and rinse and repeat until you reach 1610. And one thing to note is that when you clear Ivory Tower, you will be getting the level 40 elixir support, so that should be helping you a little bit as well. But with that, they do give you a non-optimal elixir set. So I would recommend you guys go to Max Roll or to Lost Ark Nexus to figure out what type of elixirs your class actually uses, and then potentially try to go and learn the elixir system. I have a video that I'm going to link in the description below to teach you guys how to do the elixir system. That way you guys can, start practicing and doing that, because there is a little bit of skill and a little bit of knowledge that goes into it. And there is an AI that can help you out as well. But, definitely that is for the completely new players who do not know how to do elixirs. So you're going to want to start doing that before you eventually get to 1610 and challenge Thaymine. And this is unfortunately going to be the first raid where you actually don't have any ability to do it as a solo player. You will need to group up with other people, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys watch a guide if this is your first time playing, and also find people who are willing to either A, teach you, or B, run with like-minded players who are willing to go through the progressions process, progging the raid and trying to beat it, because Thaymine is definitely a challenging raid and it's going to take you guys a while to clear it. But after that, you're going to be able to hone all the way up to 1620 and then be on your way. That about wraps up this video. Hopefully this helped everybody out who is watching progress through Ignite servers, whether you're a new player, returning player, or maybe you've learned something as a veteran player. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to come ask me on my stream. I stream every single night at twitch.tv/misoextruded. So I'd really love to see you guys there. It really makes me more happier than anything to just see what some of you guys, even just like drop by and say hi. So come hang out. But if you guys can't make it, don't worry. I'll be back with another video tomorrow. All right, guys, have a good one. I'll see y'all later. Peace.